now. It just went click and it went now. Hi, guys. We're here.
Hi, churt room.
Churt room.
Churt room.
Mirku. You could do that in like a total Swedish thing. Mirku.
Hello, the churt room. We're...
Oh, you call them the chat room?
This is their churt room for everyone. This is live. This is churt room.
Oh, churt
live
room.
television.
You can hear the
churt
echo.
Room.
I gotta kill it. Hang on.
Oh
you
yeah.
Do that
Oh
in like
no.
There it is. I gotta kill the echo. There we go.
Better.
When I grab the video, okay. So what happens with that is I forget because I have to grab the chat room on this side and then I forget to mute it. So that's why I was like, I have to kill it. Bye bye. So, yay,
Oops.
we're live. Shirt room.
Shirt room. I don't even know.
Let me go tweet the deets out and so people can know that we are live.
Yeah, that's Nate. Nate right there is my boy.
He's awesome.
He got me the hookup for BlizzCon.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he was. He had a ticket for sale. He's the one that. He's good people.
Good.
I'm going for him. Drama. Drama sauce in the chat room tonight, guys.
Twitch.tv/Tauren Think Tank.
That is.
Boom. They're all here and they're all happy. Okay, so chat room, I have a question for you guys tonight, and this was brought to my attention from one that really much enjoys your company in here. But on the video, and people kind of like this feature, that on the video there is a copy of the chat room showing up on the live stream. And so I want to make sure that you guys are cool with that because, and I don't want you to feel like it's kind of taking away from our normal jazzy, comfortable feeling of being able to tell and bear things to your souls, as we talk about some of the tougher stuff. If you guys, you guys are part of this. If you don't want that chat room to be up on the screen, you tell me. And if enough of you are not pleased with it, I will take it down. But I felt it was a good thing for people to be able to see this on YouTube if they wanted to view it, because people were viewing the video on YouTube last week and they were appreciating the fact that it is a draw. It's like a draw for you guys to have more friends come in, which is why I did it. And this was suggested by Navox, and I thought it was cool. But if you don't like it, tell me, because I want to know. So there you go.
Lori's okay with it. I'm okay with it.
You're okay with it. I think it's fun because then it gives, a feel of what our amazing, awesome chat room is. But, I don't want people to feel uncomfortable or to feel stifled from wanting to talk about the things that we talk about on the show. So
right.
It's really, this is my chat room. You guys are my people. So if you don't like it, we'll take it down. So
my precious.
So guys, this is Sharku. Say hi, Sharku.
Hi, Sharku. It's every time. I'm going to do that
it's
every time.
It's never going to get old, ever.
No. Oh, God.
It's never going to get old. It's
not.
I do the same thing when people say, oh, Jules. Say hi, Jules. Hi, Jules.
It's just, dad jokes are my favorite jokes, the ones that are like, Dad, I'm hungry. Hi, hungry. I'm Dad. That kind of, they're just
you are going to be, one day when you have kids, you are going to be the dad.
No.
You're going to be like my dad. My dad would do that.
I want to be Uncle Sharku. That's what I want. I want my brother and sister to have tons of kids, and I'll go play with them, and it'll be fun. And then I'll get to go home and play video games and get to sleep through the night. It's going to be awesome. It's the best thing ever.
It's the best thing ever.
Yeah, I would. I would enjoy having kids one day. Maybe we'll see.
Well, it's you could deal with what I deal with on a weekly basis, which is now I have the 11-year-old brain. The 11-year-old brain is the epitome of I don't care about anything that is not related to what goes around my world. That is what happens with the 11-year-old brain.
Okay.
So Kane and I came home from work the other day, and I brought home dinner. I brought home takeout for dinner, but she comes home from school at like 4:30, and I got home at like 5:35 with dinner in hand. And I walk in the house, and there's Kane standing at the kitchen table with my stepdaughter sitting at the kitchen table looking really put out. And he looks at me with this look of like, it's this like glaring, not happy, dad is pissed off look, right? And
Yeah.
I said, I don't like that look. And he goes, and then he kind of goes, well, my daughter decided to make a sandwich for a snack at 5:30, knowing that dinner was about to come home. and, and she's like, Dad's mad at me because I ate a snack. And I'm like, I'm mad at you because I ate a snack.
She's just, well, no, it's, you know what? I think that might be my problem, Jules, is I have 11-year-old brain.
I think you
I think it might be a thing.
Oh my God.
Because I do
this
that
is
all
gonna
the,
be
I
a
mean,
long
and
night.
I'm making dinner, and it's one of those things I will have, like, I'll do something, I'll be cooking dinner in the oven or something. I'll like a frozen pizza because that's what, people like me eat. And it'll be
People
in
like
the
you.
oven, and I'm like, 20 minutes till I can eat. Forget that. And then I'll eat like a whole bag of chips because I'm hungry. And dinner's literally in the oven.
And you're just like, I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't give a crap.
and then I get my pizza out, and it's like, well, now I have to eat this entire pizza because I don't have a microwave.
I think you need to solve this problem by getting a microwave rather than get bigger pants.
Nah, I'll be fine.
Screw that noise.
Bump that. It's cool. That and hat. It's my lifestyle. Represent.
All right, no more F-bombs on the pre-show.
Well, did I say F-bomb?
I think you did. Did you say?
Oh.
Did you just say fuck that?
Oh, did I?
I think so.
We just had this conversation. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's
On the
live.
pre-show, it's okay. But
Yeah.
but on the podcast, then you have to make me edit, and I don't like to have to edit. So.
No, I don't want to make you edit. I'll be, yeah. I cut. Okay. Oops.
Please
So
don't make
embarrassed.
me edit tomorrow.
This is the most embarrassed I've ever been. Like, yeah. Oh.
Oh, dude, I dropped an F-bomb on a podcast recently.
Yeah, you told me. I heard that story.
Yeah, and I did not expect that would happen. I was not prepared for that.
Well, because yeah, you have professional mode.
I did, and like it fell out of my mouth. Now I had been drinking a little bit. I had like a hard cider with some Fireball whiskey mixed in it. So, and that's damn good, by the way. I gotta say, it's damn good. But
Fireball whiskey.
yes, Fireball.
Hey,
It makes it cinnamon. So apple cinnamon. Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, wait,
it's
no,
I don't know.
base.
I like cinnamon, but I don't know. I just like I mean, I think I'm a whiskey purist, and I'm not because I drink bottom shelf Old Crow. Like,
So you're not a purist.
but I want my whiskey to taste like whiskey, and if it's gonna be crap whiskey, I want it to taste like crap whiskey. I don't want it to taste like crap, cinnamon flavored. I don't know, but no, it's fire. I could be the cinnamon. It's Fireball and apple cider or hard cider.
Yeah. Fireball and so it was for us. It was Fireball whiskey with Angry Orchard hard cider mixed in.
Yeah.
That's what I was drinking. I was drinking that last night too, and just one of those was enough to make me go, "It's time for me to go to bed now. I'm tired. I feel old."
I am old.
I am old too.
I'm not that old. I feel older than I am.
I guarantee you, I'm older than you.
There are professional football players that are older than me.
Yeah, and they're out there kicking their butts out there, and you're what?
Yeah, I'm sitting watching them. What's the robot thing going on?
I don't
right
understand what's going on in the chat room right now with all of this robot stuff.
Beep beep boop boop. I think that should be. We need a sounder. We need a
Spanx
robot
wants to know what hard cider is. Hard cider is it's apple, so it's like apple juice, but it's done in a different way, like apple cider, but it's alcoholic instead of being just straight up apple juice.
It's like a hard lemonade or whatever, but it tastes more like a cider, appley.
Yeah.
What I like, Hornsby is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I like probably I don't know. There's some good ones out there.
There are, and
What's the Strongbow? That
oh, Strongbow's good too.
Strongbow's great.
Yeah, we today we have some guests downstairs right now. Midnight and Ladra are downstairs hanging out with Arcane. because they live up in the Green Bay area, and so they came out to visit us and stay. They're hanging out at night, so they're going to be sleeping in this room when I'm done, because this is the guest bedroom. And so anyway, we took them over to the local brewery here, the microbrewery, which is not going to be a microbrewery anymore, for a tour. And so we went over to Capitol Brewery and got a tour, and we got to drink. They give you, so you buy the tour, and then they give you a taster. Like, you can get like 4 tasters of beer afterwards to try their different flavors. And it was awesome. So I had this, but I had their pumpkin beer, which I swore off pumpkin beers after like trying bunches of them, and they all sucked. And these guys actually made a good pumpkin beer.
I love pumpkin beer.
I know. It's like, this is just...
It's a bit good pumpkin beer, too, because you can get some of them that are not, but...
There are some that are just nasty, nasty pants. So, yeah it's... Yeah, so they're not going to be a micro brewery anymore. I guess they're going to be a regional brewery because of how large they are. But they make some really good stuff, so... Yeah, because
a microbrewery is just in house. That's the only place you can get it, right? Is it technically?
Well, no, it's just the amount of volume that they produce per year, and these guys are expanding their operations into a second location. So the more barrels of beer they produce means that they can't be considered a microbrewery. So
I see.
Yeah, so that's what it is. But it's really, I mean, they make some amazing beers. And I was thrilled that we had a good pumpkin beer to try. So
yeah.
So that
I have
was
a buddy of mine that started a microbrewery.
Oh yeah.
He went to high school with me, and now he's a millionaire. He's not even 30 years old. Millionaire, started a microbrewery in Asheville, North Carolina.
So is North Carolina? Do they have a lot of choice in beer, or are people more interested in alcohol?
Yeah, Asheville. Asheville, as a matter of fact, was voted Beer City USA by the internet like
Really?
3 or 4 years in a row. Yeah, in a competition with was Seattle, I think, and no, Portland. Competition with Portland. Grand Rapids, Michigan is always a big competition, but yeah, they're a big beer hub. And Sierra Nevada just moved a plant there, and some other folks, I think. But yeah. So lots of beer.
Some good beers out there. That's
well,
awesome.
This is where, I mean, this is bootleg central. This is where all that was going on out here in the mountains. And so making your own alcohol is something we're very good at.
Yeah. Bootleg central.
Yeah. I've not been to a wedding out here that has not had at least one jar of homemade moonshine.
Well, and yeah, I would see that probably, and somebody was just bringing it in their purse or something.
Homemade moonshine and homebrew. That's how you party.
Oh, how funny!
That's the way it works.
That's how we party.
Yeah. Woo.
Woo!
That and cow tipping.
Cow tipping is our deal, man. That's our deal out here. I don't know. I've never done it, but apparently it's a thing.
Corn mazes.
Corn mazes, yeah, got that too.
Or making cheese.
Yep, and eating copious amounts of it. But yeah, you gotta, bratwurst, cheese, and beer. That's what you gotta do, and like the Packers or else.
The Packers. They won this week, yeah?
Yeah, oh man, they
played Thursday. I heard
the floor with Minnesota.
I have Lacey on my fantasy team. So.
Oh, do you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did well.
I have Jordy Nelson on one. I have two fantasy teams this year. One from CTR guys, and another one with my workplace. And so I have Jordy Nelson for my workplace team. And I was just like, he's been doing so well this year that I've just been like, oh yeah, I should have been wearing my Jordy Nelson jersey today, because one of these days I'll wear it on the stream and make you guys jealous. I'm wearing my Jordy Nelson jersey.
Do it.
So how you feeling?
Right.
Are you ready to maybe get ready to go? With
are we supposed to do a podcast?
I think so. Chat room.
I gotta do a stream of curse words so I get them all out. Hold on. No, just kidding.
Chat room, are you guys ready for us to do a show? Because we're ready to do a show. We're excited. We've been working on this one for a while, and there's some really good stuff in here. So I'm excited. We got some good stuff to talk about. It will be fun. So just wait for the chat room to catch up. Chat room, are you ready?
Whoop whoop.
Yep,
I
they
see.
are
I see a whoop
ready.
whoop.
They are ready to do this
Whoop whoop
thing.
means go.
All right, let me get the soundboard up. Let me do a test sounder in
This
here.
podcast is a part of the Signals Media All-Star Network. For more information...
Yeah, sounds good. Everybody sounds balanced. Both of us sound balanced on the stream. I think
I'm not
so.
balanced. I'm incredibly imbalanced, but okay.
I'm talking about your sound, not your mind.
Oh. All right. Well, then we're good.
Yep. You are of sound mind.
I am of sound.
Sound. I am of sound. All right. So make sure everybody says everything's good. Just gonna wipe my nose real quick, do you? Make sure I'm not sniffly. So it was really cold out there too while you're sitting out drinking beer in 49-degree weather. That was kind of chilly. So yeah.
It was snowing today here.
What?
Yeah, because I'm in the mountains.
Oh, right.
It was just flurries, but I went outside and I was like, that is snow. That is snow.
That is not cool. It's not
Yesterday,
cool.
high 70s. Today, snow.
That is weird. Okay. Well, nobody is saying anything to the contrary. So, one sec here. All right. I'm counting it down, playing music. In 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to Tauren Think Tank, the World of Warcraft podcast for you, the World of Warcraft player.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 117 of Tauren Think Tank. My name is Jules, and with me tonight is a special guest host, another one. I told you about him, told you about that he was coming, and he decided that it was okay to show up tonight. His name is Sharku. Hi, Sharku.
Hi, everyone.
He's waving to the camera. It's awesome.
I am. If you can hear this, tell me. I'm because it's waving. Never mind. Bad joke. And moving on.
If you can see this, if you can hear this.
Yeah.
Well,
tell me if you can hear me waving.
I can hear you waving. It's kind of an interesting thing, that wind that passes over the microphone.
Oh, we can't.
No, actually, no. I was just making fun of you. The chat room is welcoming you, and I welcome you to this episode. I'm really excited to have you here. I know Sharku, and I met Sharku because of raiding together on we were raiding with the casuals together. It's how I met you, with Dairies, learning how to do heroics and all that great stuff. And so you were tanking for that team, and we would just banter back and forth all the darn time. You know, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, I remember. Well, and it's that I was on that team, and I remember jumping in and it being invited into the screen saying Darius invites you to a guild or to a raid team, and I'm like, oh, I'm raiding with Darius, and then Jules pops in like, hey guys, I'm here. And I'm like, I'm raiding with Jules. So I was so starstruck, and now here I am, like co-hosting Tauren Think Tank for a week, and I'm like, oh boy.
Well, I promise I will make it a little less painful for you than some of our wipes on all of those crazy times that we had.
I don't think that was your fault, but okay.
I don't think so either. I stood in bad a couple times, but not all the time.
I do remember the first thing I told my friend after raiding with you guys was, I got battle res by Jules.
I left battle res residue on you.
Yeah. I'm never going to wash this soul.
That's awesome.
Oh boy.
Today is Saturday, October 4th. We are doing episode 117, and I just wanted you guys to get a chance to learn more about who Sharku is. So, tell us a little bit about you. I mean, where you're from, what you do, what your time in WoW looks like, all that good stuff.
Sure. Well, I live in Boone, North Carolina right now, Western North Carolina in the mountains. We were just talking in pre-show about how it was snowing for a second earlier. Yeah, and I'm an actor and a theater professor at Appalachian State University.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So that's a little bit about me. I tweeted out the other day. I was walking away. I went to go see a play at the school. They're running their play right now, and I was walking back to my car, and I heard someone going, "Professor, professor!" And I was like, "Somebody wants to talk to a professor." And then I realized I was the only one there, and they were yelling at me. And it was one of my students. I was like, "Oh, that's not my name. It's not Professor. Say hey, Brad, please." Oh boy. But anyway.
You've reached rank now.
I apparently, and I don't even know how I did it, but because I slept through most of grad school.
What did you go to grad school for?
Acting. I have a MFA in acting. So
Nice.
and with a concentration in directing, it's a bunch of whatever. I have a terminal degree in make believe. It's basically the long and short of that.
And you know
I
what,
teach people
though?
how to pretend.
Yeah, and you teach people how to be somebody else.
Use your imaginations.
Why do I feel like I'm already talking to Willy Wonka tonight?
He might be. I don't know. That's the creepiest looking Willy Wonka.
So what do
Oh,
you
boy.
so how long have you been playing World of Warcraft?
I have been playing World of Warcraft since almost. I was in vanilla or classic, whatever you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
And at the end, right before BC dropped, is when I started playing. But I didn't have a 70 until BC.
Okay.
Or a max level tune, and started raiding in Kata a little bit here and there. Never really raided a lot. Just would try to find pugs or maybe excuse me, I was a member of a friendly guild. They would, allow me to go for a few weeks in a row. But that was all through school, like the end of college and into grad school, and relationships and all sorts of stuff took my focus away. But hardcore rating or more regular rating since the end of Kata, so about
Nice.
2 years now.
Okay. And then so you're currently raiding in Convert to Raid right now.
Yeah, I'm on two teams in CTR. My main team, I am a mage with the Asparagus Initiative, and I am we're pushing Garrosh. We're on Heroic Garrosh right now. We've been on him for 2 or 3 weeks now, and 4 hours a night, 2 nights a week, wiping over and over and over is getting so old.
It's painful.
And we're incredibly close. Our biggest problem right now is consistently getting to the last phase. We're not able to consistently get to the last phase enough to have enough momentum to kill him. We can get there, and every time we get there, we're always really close, but we just need to get there more and practice. And then when we mess up on the earlier phases, it's just so. But I really, really, really think we have a kill this week.
You guys are raiding tomorrow night, right?
Rating tomorrow night, yeah. I should be streaming it on my stream, and Derry streams it as well. So if you're interested in that, my stream is twitch.tv /Sharku _CTR, same as my Twitter.
Yep.
So if you guys are interested in watching that, and I'll tweet about it too. So
Good. Yeah. Good luck on that tomorrow night.
yeah, I'm excited.
Awesome.
We got to kill him, and then I can take a break and not have to play WoW for a week. Would be awesome.
And you're
and
on
my
a
other
second
team,
yeah.
my other team is I'm on a team called the Order of the Luminous. My tank that I was tanking with the casuals with plays with them, and they're more of a casual team. We finished normal Gary, and right now are kind of I think they're doing mostly meta stuff and then farming for Gary, and then we're gonna try and just get ready for Warlords at this
Nice.
point. So,
Cool.
but yeah, we have fun group of guys over there too. But yeah, and that's what I do in game.
Good. So, so anything that you've been up to specifically in this week besides wiping on Heroic Garrosh?
And I don't, because it's almost a chore to play now. I don't play Warcraft that much, except for when I have to. Like if I have to log in and raid, because it's one of those things where I'll burn out and then I'll be useless during raid time, and we just want to get them down. And I'm so ready for new content. But I've been playing a lot of Diablo and Hearthstone recently. I have all my set pieces now for my Demon Hunter.
Nice.
Character, and he's blowing stuff up, and it's awesome. And then I got up to like rank 8 or 7 in Hearthstone
Whoa,
last
really?
season. Yeah,
Nice.
it was fun. It's hard, but man, Zulux and Tempo Priests all day long, and you just run up the ranks. It's so cheat, but it's a lot of fun. It really
Nice.
is. But yeah, so Blizzard keeps me going, and just can't wait for Warlords to drop. Man, I'm really excited about that.
Oh, good. Well, this week for me, I've been just finding some time to level up. I'm working on my Horde Druid on Earthen Ring just to get that character up to 90, and I'm at 83 and almost 84. So it's, just slow going. I run an instance here or there when I have a moment. Um, it's been a busy week again. I seem to say that every single week, but it is. And we have some guests here tonight in our house from the chat room. Midnight and Ladra came down from the Green Bay area to come visit us and stay overnight. So they're hanging out downstairs with Arcane right now and listening to the show. And so we actually took them around and did a couple things around town. We went on a brewery tour and we grabbed some dinner and met one of Midnight's friends for lunch today. So it's been good. I feel like there is never enough time in the day to do anything because I'm working all day and it's just, then I get home and I'm like, I've got so much to do. I've got so much to do. So yeah, I'm just glad that we had a little bit of downtime. Tomorrow I'll have a little bit more downtime. Will be good too. I just want to give a quick shout out to all the fans of this show for your awesome feedback about last week's return. We are so excited to be back, and thank you for all of the feedback that you gave me about Markonnen being here on the show. And I'm going to ask you to do the same exact thing with Sharku being here, is to give me your feedback and let me know what you think. If there's anything that you'd like to see different, just give us constructive feedback and just let us know. But I really appreciate you guys coming out in force and just saying how much you were happy that the show came back. I was too. I walked away last week feeling super accomplished because the thing about doing this show on your own and learning all the things that I've had to learn to get to the point to be able to run the live stream, to do the show, to post it, to do all the things that I'm doing, and it was like I never expected that I would have the ability to do it because of the technical stuff that needed to happen. And man, it's been awesome to be able to
Yeah,
do this. It's so empowering to be able to
it's
do
a
all
lot of
this.
work too.
It is. It's
It's
a
a lot
lot
of
of
work.
work. And and the fans, you guys are what make it just every bit of it worth it. You guys make this show everything to do. It's just so awesome. And this week talking to Sharku about the plans for the show, and I had a discussion topic prepared, and I'm really excited to bring this show tonight to you guys. I think that the topics, the question, are going to be something that you guys are really going to dig into. So yeah, I'm just excited. Everything is just so good. So
Me too. You're excited. I'm excited. Let's
good.
do it.
Well, what do you think? Should we get into some discussion?
Let's discuss.
All right.
Let's have a discussion.
All right. It's time to dig in. Crack your knuckles. Spend a little time stretching your back, because we're digging in. Here's the discussion topic for the night, and this one was written by me. This one is something that I was thinking about, and I think that we can really take this in a lot of different places. For most of our childhood, people who've listened to the show, being a nerd or a geek or a gamer, liking D&D, comics, Star Wars, it made you different. You were probably the unpopular one if you were interested in these things, and you were the person that maybe got teased or bullied because you did this kind of thing and enjoyed it. Now, being all of these things is considered to be the cool thing to do. In 2014, Guardians of the Galaxy is the top grossing movie of the year. Who could have thought? So, here's our discussion topic of the night. Do you feel that there is possibly a brewing backlash among those people who identify as nerds or geeks or gamers against those that are now accepting them as their own? Can that explain all of the rampant negativity that seems to be cropping up lately, especially against women as well that are interested in these topics? So there's a lot here that we can take. And Sharku, I'm going to let you step up and start where you would like to start.
Yeah, well, let's. I mean, it's one of those things. I found it interesting because I did grow up. I was never really bullied that per se for being a nerd because I was just sort of all a nerd about everything.
Yeah.
Like I was a nerd about football and baseball, and I was also a nerd about Star Wars and Ninja Turtles, but and comic books. And it might just I might just be almost on that edge of when nerds started becoming cool.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see it is one of those things where, I mean, just you look at some people today just getting annoyed with the fact that Candy Crush isn't a video game or something. You
Yeah,
know,
you're not
you've
a
got all
legitimate
these.
gamer if you enjoy that.
Right, Candy Crush doesn't count. I actually think there's a Hearthstone ad the other day that I saw that said "Crush Goblins, not candy," and it was a Blizzard ad. It was for real from Blizzard. So there is kind of, I mean, it's interesting to think about, almost like, man, we suffered for this, and now it's cool, and I think I can see how that can be annoying for people and
Do you
upsetting
think
to them.
do you think it's something that is causing some of this backlash? Do you think it's all of a sudden now being a nerd is now the new hipster?
I mean, I think that part of it is, I mean, I even remember, God, I spend too much time in the costume shop and working in theaters and stuff, but like geek chic is a thing.
Yeah.
Like you can describe somebody as geek chic, which is, it's a, fashionable geek. I don't know if I think that it necessarily causes that's what's causing the backlash. I don't want to think it is. I guess it could be, but it's just one of those things. I mean, I think I can see that where there is some animosity there and some negative feelings, but I don't know if it would necessarily, especially when you're talking about the bullying, because the bullying is happening as far as mostly what I know is younger. I mean, I don't get bullied for playing video games. Oh, well, no, that's not true. I kind of do. Like if I talk about playing Warcraft, people are like, "Oh yeah, you're such a nerd" or whatever, and write it off. But
But that's what
I
people
don't
say
think
to
it's
you is, "Oh, you're such a nerd." Is it said in a way that is kind of poking fun at you, or is it a way that's made it more of an admiration thing? Like, like so for instance, when we talk to each other and you do something like, let's say we're in raid, you do something silly and you talk about something and you're like, oh my god, I totally studied up on this and la 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 la, and then
yeah,
someone goes, oh dude, you're such a nerd. Like, we do that to each other. But is it said in
yeah.
that kind of context where it's just like, I'm making fun of you because I can, because we are of the same level? Or is it that you're such a nerd? Like, is it the kind of thing where people say, do you watch Big Bang Theory because you're a nerd?
No, no, I see what you're saying, and yeah, I think with me a lot of times, like when it comes to really nerdy stuff, like me playing X-wing miniatures or Dungeons and Dragons or World of Warcraft and stuff like that, I think there is kind of a negative. That's not cool. For some people, that might be cool. I think anybody that tried it obviously would know it's cool because it's really cool.
Yeah.
But I think in general it's not. So I think there is, and I don't. So I don't know. I guess what I'm, and yeah, so it is kind of more of a negative. Now I will. I last year at BlizzCon, if you're around me, I would walk into the Hyatt and start screaming, "Hi nerds!" or what's his name from Revenge of the Nerds, nerds, like running
But
around me,
that's the
but
thing
in an
is,
admirable way. And so
yeah,
I
we
don't know.
identify as that. At BlizzCon,
Yeah,
we're like,
exactly.
that's a badge of pride because I can call you a nerd, you can call me a nerd, and I am amongst my people. But
Yeah.
when you're not in a situation where you're amongst your people, the people who don't understand who you are. So when someone says, "Oh, you like video games, you like comic books, do you watch Big Bang Theory?" Because you must identify with something like that. And because that's happened to me numerous times where people, and I don't even watch Big Bang Theory. I've never seen a single episode of that show. But
Yeah.
it's the thing about, oh, you must like that because it's, that's for nerds. And but that's what I find very interesting when people talk about the things that they like or that they don't like. And now all of a sudden Guardians of the Galaxy and all of those comic book films from Marvel Studios is like everybody is just like, "Oh my gosh, I just love it. It's so good and I'm just loving Agents of Shield and this and this and this." And you're like, "Yeah, well, I've been following this and reading about this and talking about this forever." It's and then is there that backlash, and I feel like people are kind of going, I was a nerd before it was cool.
Right.
And
And it is kind of a new hipster.
Is it? And so now when you get to that part and you get to the people who are feeling like I was a nerd before it was cool. And then you've got the people out there who are doing the bullying and saying these negative things. I personally, I don't think that's what it is, but I'm curious to wonder how this prevalence of negativity that's coming out there, the Gamergate stuff that's all over the internet, which is obnoxious and annoying, and people just not supporting each other and treating each other like dirt. And then it's on top of the Gamergate part, on top of how women feel in video games. And I can talk about that.
Yeah.
It was just horrible. So I look at it and I say, there are problems. There's major problems out there for people who game and who enjoy doing things related to gaming. But and it's not a comfortable thing for people to do.
Right. And I think where the negativity comes from, as far as I'm concerned, is this sort of, it's just the fact, it's the society we live in, where we even want to separate ourselves. Like, and especially me, I constantly compartmentalize and make groupings in my head to better understand things in general. And when you do that with people, it's very, very dangerous because everyone is an individual. Mm-hmm. But it's hard for us to work that way. And so we always want to, the thing is where everyone is a nerd. Like, that's just the truth. You're nerdy about something. Yeah. Everyone is, unless you are a sociopath and care about literally nothing. And then you might be nerdy about being a sociopath. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but we want to make those separations and this and that and the other. Oh, well, you like this. My thing that I like is cooler than that thing that you like. I remember when I was in middle school, there was a big thing between skateboarding and inline skating. Like, yes. They're the same thing. But I was the skateboarder crew, and the other kids over there, they're the inline. They're a bunch of poser inline skaters. You know, anybody can do that, right? Which isn't true at all. But that was so. I think that's the kind of mentality, and especially with women in gaming, and bullying that happens, and sexism with that aspect of it. I think a lot of it has to do with just the way our society has always been that way. And we're having a lot of problems wanting to change, but not being able to.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Like for example, I know I shared this with you, but there was some information coming out on the internet about the International Esports Foundation.
Yes.
That they made it to where Hearthstone. To compete in their aspect of Hearthstone, you had to be a male. The women were not allowed to compete. And the reasoning behind that was because they wanted to make it a real sport. And women and men don't compete against each other in real sports. And of course, there are plenty of reasons why that's a load of bull.
Mm-hmm. And that came out when that announcement came out to say, this is not a physical matchup. This is not...
Right.
You know, you're not talking about men and women in a sporting event physically doing things together. They're sitting in front of a computer screen gaming.
Yeah.
And that is where the uproar came. And I absolutely agree with it. There should be no reason why there should be separation of the genders.
But the fact that that was something that someone somewhere who does not believe themselves to be sexist, I'm sure, thought, you know what? This is a good idea. Let's allow the women and men to compete separately, mm-hmm. You know, and that's still thinking. That's still the type of thinking that we go through. And it gets a lot, even just, and I know I'll say this, there's even the jokes that we like to make sometimes. And I'll share a little story about myself where, We're in doing a raid, and in my mind, I always thought it was really creepy when guys would like freak out that a girl's talking and
Yeah.
mumble, right? And be like, "Oh my God, there's a girl talking and mumble," and start acting super differently, or start getting really creepy, or start getting like really friendly, or whatever. So I made a joke in my head to where anytime a girl would say something and mumble like, "Oh my God, there's a girl on our raid team," like without even realizing how sexist that was,
And so you were
and
saying
how
this? Was that what you were
yeah,
saying? Okay.
and that's what I would say because I thought it was a joke in my mind that was being anti, um, like I was making fun, ironically, of the guy that would do that,
Okay.
without even realizing that what happens at that point is that there are women on the raid team that are now not wanting to speak because they don't want to be turned into a joke.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Yeah,
yeah.
it was one of those things where once I realized that that was happening and it was something that people were not necessarily comfortable with,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I was just being selfish. And I think that's where we are in a society where we're only really thinking about ourselves and thinking about, well, we're trying to make this an official esport, or I'm trying to be funny, and
Yeah.
somebody somewhere is going to laugh at this, without realizing and thinking first about what's going to happen when I say something like this. And I mean, in your own personal homes and with your friends, your sense of humor can come out a little bit more,
Yeah.
but especially in the public arena. And we were talking a little bit, and I know the Angry Chicken talked about this a little bit on their podcast a couple weeks ago with the Hearthstone, the Lord of the Arena tournament. Hafu and Nadia are female Hearthstone players that were in that arena, and the shoutcasters, Reckful and Crip, would refer to them as grills the whole time, and that the guys that were playing against them should just concede to them for grill points, and things like that. Under Where I can understand that they think they were just being funny, and they have personal relationships with these players as
Mm-hmm.
well, but at the same time, they don't realize they're in a public forum.
Yeah.
We have responsibilities that we have to really take responsibility for
Yeah.
when we're in a public forum like that. And I think a lot of, especially the gaming community and the internet blowing up the way that it is. I mean, look at all the people that are watching, some guy in North Carolina talk about this right now. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't realize when you're in that public forum what those sorts of things mean. I guess I say all that to say it's a society thing, and it's
Yeah.
something that I think each of us individually have to look at and go, am I looking at someone in a selfish way? Just sort of check myself. And am I bullying them to make myself feel better, or to try to, because I joke about things to make it go away, because if something is scary and I make it funny, then it's not scary anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But how does that affect other people? Does that make sense? I talked
It
for about
no,
10
it
minutes just
totally
there.
makes so much sense for a number of different reasons. And I'll expound on the female thing, but first what I want to say is we do this even amongst ourselves. We do this all the time, and I've been very, very cognizant of this, because when somebody says to you, I haven't seen such and such. Let's say someone says to you, I haven't seen Poltergeist. It was a movie that a lot of people saw when they were younger, and you talk to someone and they're like, I've never seen Poltergeist. And if someone goes, oh my God, Sharku, stop everything that you're doing and make sure that you watch Poltergeist, or I am taking away your geek card. Now, I'm using this example of Poltergeist, but maybe it's Avatar or Star Wars, or you didn't watch the latest Lords of War. You're not a legitimate WoW player. You take your geek card away. And we do that to each other.
Yeah.
And I know that what we're doing is just trying to bring people around to the things that we enjoy, because we like spending time with those people, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's already ridiculing them for not having the same interests as you do, and making them possibly feel bad because they never took the time to actually watch the movie or see the thing or read the book or read the comic or whatever it was.
Well, and I wonder also, Jules, if this is because it just tends to be that a lot of the people in the nerd community were made fun of a lot
Yeah.
as kids and had to learn how to. And it's one of those things where I know I had big problems in relationships of mine before because I would constantly pick on my partner, whoever it was, my girlfriend or and just constantly pick on them. Oh yeah, she's never done this, she's never seen that, she's so crazy, whatever.
Did you ever say she's not a
Thinking,
nerd?
she really wasn't a nerd.
But did you say that to her? She's not a nerd?
Uh, No, I don't think I never made that, but it's one of those things. The point that I'm making is that's always been my defense mechanism. Let's deflect.
Yeah.
Let's make this about somebody else so they don't start poking fun at me because that's what happens every time.
Yeah.
So if I start deflecting, and that's the thing, like, oh my God, you haven't seen, or you think that the prequels of Star Wars are decent films, you're an idiot, or whatever. Which, by the way, I do think that the prequels of Star Wars are decent films. I'm just going to go ahead and say they're not as good as the original trilogy, but come on, they're not terrible. But anyway, and people will like crucify you over stuff like this.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's the problem. If it's that thing that we need to just be more vulnerable and be ready for, you know what, if they're going to make fun of me, then fine, but I'm not going to do that to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me, because I know how that feels.
It's one of the things that I think we could be a little bit more aware of amongst ourselves, and we think it's a joke and we think it's funny, so we wind up kind of telling people, I'm going to take away your nerd card. Does any other group of people, by the way, have a card that they
you might not know about this? There's a man card.
Well, there's a
Get your
man card, yes.
taken away.
But nobody says I'm going to take away your girl card. It's always the man card. What is that noise?
I don't know. But it is, it's one of those things. And I think it has to do, I teach in my theater class about a term called decorum. And what decorum means is know your audience, basically.
Yeah.
What does your audience expect? If your audience expects you, and your audience being your group of friends, if it's okay, like me and my two best friends, we went to college together, and we still once a year have a weekend that we get together. We are terrible to each other, ripping each other down, saying the worst possible things about each other's mothers and wives and whatever, like just going. But it's because that's what we expect from one another, and there's permission given there, and it's almost it's an endearing thing, where if somebody can think of a really good rip for you, then they think a lot about you to have put the time into crafting this terrible. But in general, if we're used to that sort of thing, and we forget how to act in public, we forget how to act with other human beings, and I think that's one of the things. We put those defense mechanisms up and keep them up and forget that we're all just the human race. I sound like such a hippie right now, but it's true.
No,
it's true.
That is because we put ourselves into tribes. We put ourselves into categories and tribes and what we like and what you like, and my people versus your people. I mean, I said it on the show. I'm with my people. I feel comfortable. I feel accepted. I feel loved. And when go to BlizzCon and it's this heady feeling of being around the people that you absolutely enjoy, who get you, who you don't have to pretend to be somebody you're not. Because I think that for me, as a female gamer, and let me just put this way, I identify as a gamer in my head. I am a gamer. My majority of my friends are male. I have friends that are male and female, so I just identify as a person who likes to play video games. And so when the female card comes out, when people say, oh, you're a girl gamer, I almost feel a little strange about that, because it kind of breaks apart what my mind is telling me. I just say I am a gamer who happens to be a girl, is just the way that I see it.
Yeah.
But I have been in a situation like you described in your Mumble, but
situation.
a lot harder than that. I mean, yours was more of a unintentional. It was a joke that came off unintentionally negative. Mine was literally like being treated differently and ignored because I was a female. And
right.
I am, like I've said on the show in the past, I am extremely lucky that I have people that I have spent time with in my guild experiences who treat me like a person, not because I am a girl. They treat me like I am a gamer, and that is what I want. That is what I expect, because I treat you like a gamer. If you're a girl, you're a guy, it doesn't matter. As long as you play the game, to me, you're a gamer. But there's that common thing where everybody puts that out in trade chat to say, girls don't play WoW, or girls don't play video games, or girls aren't nerds, and it's like, but who said? Who says?
Right. Who gets to say that, and it's almost we talking a little bit about how equality and isn't necessarily the whole goal. When you talk about things like race or sex or something like that, yes, being equal, we need to be treating each other equally. But at the same time, there are differences between men and women.
Yeah.
There are differences between the races and subcultures and nationalities of this planet Earth. And we should celebrate, especially in America, with having, all sorts of different groups of people, e pluribus unum, right?
Mm-hmm.
We celebrate those differences, and that's okay. The fact that you're a girl gamer is awesome, because statistically there probably are fewer girl gamers than there are, at least for the older age range. I would think maybe, and I might not even, but that's the concept. But the fact that you are different than me, it's okay, I think, to celebrate, but doesn't have to be brought up every 5 minutes. And I think that's the point that you're trying to make.
Yeah.
And the problem with my comments, with the joke that I would make, why do we have to constantly, we know, we get it, and it gets old at some point.
Yeah.
Celebrating the fact and being able, I am a girl gamer and I'm part of a unique group. I am a guy gamer and that's a unique group as well. It might be the majority, but at the same time, I'm totally cool with being that guy.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's kind of where I'm at with that.
I mean, the other aspect of it that is a horrible, horrific side of it is that females on the internet, people who do streams, people who do things with a presence on the internet, write blogs, do articles, have something that they do, get some of the most horrific and terrible things said to them by other people. But what I found interesting is that for this show, Sharku gave me a number of links from people who are talking about cyberbullying, talking about the differences between a male and a female gamer, how they were being treated. And there was a Hearthstone streamer from a couple of days ago, actually, that posted a video on his Twitch channel or his YouTube channel about cyberbullying for himself. He happens to be an Asian American. And the horrible things that people say to him as a streamer and someone who puts himself out there is it's just so horrible. I looked at the comments of that. I mean, you're not supposed to read the comments, but I read the comments, and everybody who was posting on YouTube as a comment was saying, "You don't want to be cyberbullied? Don't post something on the internet. Get a thicker skin. Don't, whatever, cyberbullying doesn't exist. This isn't a problem." And it's just, that is what the mentality is out there. It is really, really disheartening to see that, which is why I am so happy to have the community of Tauren Think Tank listeners that we have. That we have these people who understand, who treat each other with respect, who show each other support, who celebrate each other. And this is the part of it that I kind of get a little insulated in a way, because these are the people who just know how to treat each other with kindness. And I know that they exist. I just want to see more of them.
Right. And yeah, that's, I was talking to you about that too. We were talking a little bit of discussion. We have, this community is phenomenal to me. Like, I mean, lightning in a bottle. So slash moo early to all you guys out there, moo crew. I am
so
very,
proud of
very
them.
happy with you guys. Yeah, me too. And it's just one of those things where, and that's when I was talking to somebody about this show. It's not a podcast. It's not a newscast about World of Warcraft. And for me, where I was in my life when I discovered the show, it was a desperately needed meeting with friends. It was somewhere where I can hear people talk about their problems and I can hear good advice. And I know if I have a problem, I could write in or talk to somebody in the chat room or whatever. And it's just amazing. Stuff like this, I think, to sort of wrap up the discussion question, is the answer.
Yes.
I think. And just being ourselves and breaking it down and having a conversation. And also, if you do offend somebody, when somebody said something to me about what I was saying in Mumble, straight up, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. End of story. Like, that's it. Like, acknowledge that I wronged you and I'm sorry that I did that. And let's move forward from that. And then on the other side, be like, okay, cool. And then, I think that's the only way you can kind of deal with this kind of stuff. But it's a human race problem that's existed for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And, we'll keep getting better.
Yeah.
But
And I think that you're right. I think that the opportunities for people who can show support and encouragement to each other will be the answer to some of this. It's just needing to happen more. It needs to happen in places where people are being negative and saying to each other, it doesn't need to be this way. It doesn't need to be anger and hurtfulness and all that kind of thing. And so I'm just happy that we have this environment. I'm happy that we have the people who treat each other with respect and have a place to go when there's something that they need to talk about. So that's what we'll continue to do.
Right.
Boy, we are getting some interesting things in our chat room tonight, aren't we?
Did you see my face?
I know your face was about to ready to lose it.
I
So.
could. It was sorry. For those of you that don't know,
There
it
was
was
a very large phallus on our chat.
graphic image. I mean, it was text. It wasn't a picture. That was impressive.
That was
so thank you.
Thank you for our mods for being awesome, by the way.
That's true.
Even in Triple T, we have it in the chat room. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Shark, for your perspective on this discussion. There are so many different ways we can go in this discussion topic. And if you guys would like to weigh in on that, please do. questions@taurenThinkTank.com is our email address. And if you have thoughts or concerns or questions about this discussion topic that you've dealt with or wanting to share your story, that's what we're here for. Let's do it. So, first we're going to talk about our lovely sponsor, Dog. Your face just lit up when I said Doghouse Systems.
Because I love Doghouse Systems. They're so phenomenal and fantastic.
And of course I didn't coach him how to say that at all. Well, because he knows Doghouse they are all that in terms of the best service out there for a gaming PC. This stream tonight is being run on a Doghouse system. Yeah, it is. And it's awesome. And I can't talk about it enough for what they can do for you when you're looking for that gaming computer that's going to last you for several expansions of World of Warcraft. I mean, think about it. You can go through Warlords of Draenor and probably the next one if you buy it before this expansion.
And the next one after that they're already thinking about,
and the next one after that. And then you can load it up. They'll load it up for you. They'll make sure they ask you, what games do you play? If you play in Blizzard games, play Diablo 3? We'll put it on there for you. And that is going to be the most awesome thing. So doghousesystems.com is where you can get the most amazing computer gaming system that you are looking for. And specified to what you need. And we help you out with the code T at checkout to get double the memory on that brand new game system. So
absolutely.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for your support of the show, Doghouse, and thank you guys for supporting our sponsor. Okay, you ready for some Think Tank?
Let's Think Tank it.
Let's do it.
Tauren between options? Let Triple T help you sort it out.
All right, here it comes, our question of the night. Dear Moo Crew, Jules, and special guest. Hi, my name is AJ. I'm giving you my non-WoW nickname here for some sort of privacy. I've been actively playing since shortly before Cataclysm. Actively, however, I have touched on the game since Burning Crusade with friends, so it's been a while. My issue, for what it's worth, has been weird. I've always had a question where I should be or what the heck I've been doing. Whether I've been in game or on whatever tune, work, or even other randomness, life seems to dole out to me. Confidence is not a strong point for me. I've also had friends come and go, whether they've moved on or people pass away. I feel like I can't win at this. Not that I'm suicidal, because I'm not. Things can just be very hard. I know for a fact, even though I'm not a doctor, that there's some sort of depression hiding around. Even for a small patch of time, my doctor provided Xanax as a temporary fix for a rather difficult time that I was going through. It sometimes is so hard to be in my own skin. It makes me think about the 3 Days Grace song, I Hate Everything About You, like I'm someone singing that to me. I know I should mention something to my doctor and family, definitely to my mother. I just don't want to worry her or make her scared. There are already mental health issues among my family. Just want to know your thoughts about this. Love you guys so much, the show and the Moo Crew. Thank you for being awesome. Sad Blood Elf AJ. So AJ is recognizing that that she has, and AJ is a female, by the way.
Okay.
She's recognized that she has some form of depressive nature that's been happening, and is afraid to do something about it because she doesn't want to worry her family. So,
Yeah, and that's a tough situation. Just because I understand that completely. I understand being in a position where you don't want to worry anybody. And part of it for me has to do, little bit backstory on myself, went through therapy and stuff with life issues that I was dealing with, and realized through that therapy that I have codependent tendencies.
and what does that mean?
But the particular therapist that I went to doesn't like diagnosing codependency. But what it means is that you care more about you. It's very. We talked about this on the show. Or you've talked about this on the show before. It has to do with self-care. The fact that self-care is not a priority for you for the most part. You care more about what other people think, how other people. And put other people in front of yourself to an unhealthy degree.
Because it
now,
makes
a lot
you
of
feel
us,
better in order to do that.
right?
Yep.
And a lot of us, I was raised that way. I was raised Southern Baptist, and I was always raised to put other people before myself in every situation. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. And we talked about this just a second ago, treating other people, thinking about what other people before thinking selfishly can be a good thing. But when you get to a point to where I don't want to worry my mother, I could have, having something like depression, just a possibility of it, and being afraid to say something to someone because you're afraid how that will affect them. For me, it's I get it. Like, I get it. That's a tough place. But my obviously amateur advice here would be to talk to people about it. Talk to somebody that you trust. If it is your mother, it seems like she says definitely I should mention this to my doctor and family, definitely to my mother. It sounds like she has a good relationship with her mother. She wants to tell her. I say go for it. And your mom, she'll be fine. What you need to be, at this point, you need to be worried about yourself if this is something that you think could really be a problem. And talk about how to take care of it. And definitely talking to your doctor or seeing a therapist is something.
Yeah.
Just talking to someone, because you can't really keep it in. You can't keep it in, and you can't. I know for me personally, some people are different. I can't. I have to. I think with my mouth. I literally can't work things out on my own. I have got to. If I'm having a problem, I have got to call somebody.
Yeah.
I have logged on to Mumble before to just talk to somebody.
Yeah.
A total stranger
Yeah.
about, let me tell you about my day, guildmate I've never talked to before. But that's me. But even still, I think getting it out there, talking to somebody is going to make you feel better, and allowing someone to and it's that vulnerability thing, allowing somebody to see you
Yeah.
vulnerable. It'll be a special moment too.
Yeah.
A special moment between you and that person, and just someone you trust and care about, and that cares about you.
Yeah.
Whoever that might be.
I find it interesting that you talked about being raised Southern Baptist, where your everybody else's needs are put before your own, and in a society where we often fight against people who are narcissistic and think only of themselves, you have depression, which in itself, go with me here, but
Yeah.
depression in itself is narcissistic because depression tells you lies. It tells you the things that you are, that it tells you that you're worthless. It tells you that you are nothing. It tells you that people hate you, that they would be better off without you, that you can't accomplish anything. You might as well give up. You might as well let it go. Nothing is ever going to be right. It tells you all of these things. And and the people who have depression describe this as something that becomes this crushing like weight that comes around you and envelops you and pins you down to the point where you can't feel like you can move anymore. You can't do.
Yeah.
You can't feel. It's just pinning you in. And so I can understand the fear and the anxiety that goes around in telling somebody that, because you can't verbalize how that feels. You can't verbalize the feeling it is of just feeling like I just don't, or I just can't, or I just don't know, or that feeling is so hard to verbalize to somebody else. And that's why a trained professional is someone that has to come into play. And for AJ, what you have to do in these cases, and this was an advice that was given to me several months ago, is to, when you're feeling like things are this way, where your inner voice tells you that it's you're dumb, you can't do this, you can't make it, you're gonna be a failure, is to stand in front of a mirror or take a moment in the shower, time where your brain is just kind of in the car or something where you're not being distracted by something else, and make it opposite day. And even if you don't, you feel stupid about it and you're like, I don't believe this, I am just saying this because I'm saying it, eventually the inner voice doesn't have as much strength as it used to when it says to you, you're worthless. No, I'm not worthless. You're worthless. No, I'm not worthless. I'm powerful. But you feel dumb saying that. You feel stupid saying, I am powerful. I'm not worthless. I have worth. People find me with worth. And and I was told to do this by an advisor, and it was like, because I have those negative thoughts, and when you are depressed, it is that much worse. Not only that, but we are also as a society trained to not try to make a big deal about the things that hurt us.
Yeah.
We are told to walk it off. We're told to be strong. We're told to stand up to it and just be, go to work sick. You're sick, go to work. Doesn't matter if you're hacking up a lung. Go to work and do it. Suck it up, be strong. So when you can't do it, when you're stuck in a depressive state, when your body says to you, I can't do this, I don't know how, or I need help, but you don't know how to ask for help, it's part of our society. And when your mom, when you are afraid that your mom is going to be upset because you have this family history of mental health, if anything, she should understand even more.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that we do to ourselves. I mean, I mentioned last week on the show that I've been dealing with some health not crisis, but some challenges. And it took me 4 weeks to actually go to the doctor about the issues that I was having, where it started out my foot was swelling up and it was painful and I didn't know why. And I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. I didn't do anything to it, but I'll be fine. And it just kept happening. So I went to the doctor and they said to me, do you know you have an irregular pulse? And I was like, whatever. I don't know that I have a regular pulse, but that's what they said. And I talked to my parents about it, and their eyes, and I waited 2 weeks. Now, I waited 2 weeks to tell my parents about this. And when I talked to them on Skype, I watched their faces, and they went, you are getting your butt to a cardiologist immediately. We have a family history of stuff related to the heart. You are now 40. You need to go do something about this immediately. And so it was like, oh. And then there's Arcane. Jules, you need to go to the doctor.
Yeah, and you don't want to. It's one of those things, I'll be fine.
I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. Well, no, I haven't really been that fine. I've been tired. I've had weird heart palpitations. Things have not been right. So, yeah, actually, I'm not quite all right, but I'm going to convince myself that I'm okay until I'm
Yeah.
not okay. And the chat room tonight has been unanimous in this to say, don't wait. Some people waited 30 years. Some people waited 10 years. Some people waited 5 years, but they waited.
Yeah.
And they wished that they had not, because their lives are so much better now. After getting
Yeah.
help and after getting treatment, you don't have to live your life like this, AJ. You don't.
Absolutely, absolutely. And therapy is one of the best. And it looks like you also said you went to the doctor, you got some Xanax. That might help, and you call it a temporary fix as well. That could be something that maybe in if you're having fits,
Yeah.
that could help. But seeing a therapist regularly, for me, it's something that absolutely worked wonders on the issues that I was having. And had I have gone early, I might have been able to save what was my marriage at that point in time, which is no longer that at all. But it's one of those things. It's the same thing. My ex actually had some of these similar problems that I'm reading about here with um, problems with not loving yourself
Yeah. And not feeling
in a
right, or
healthy
not
way.
feeling like you're a good person, or feeling like this is something that you want to be, or yeah, there's so
Right.
many different types of people that are out there feeling this way, and they're not allowing themselves to feel that way, or to feel better, and not
Right.
allowing themselves the opportunity to feel like they have somewhere to go and something to do. And yeah, I know how that feels. I know how frustrating it is. But at the same time, you have the ability to talk to a doctor, and you should. So
Yep.
that is what I feel is the thing, that you just have to let yourself release that fear, release that anxiety about talking about it with your family, because your family should be your strong support system.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I would say. I'd say don't do it alone. Like, it looks like your family is someone that you want to talk to here, but are afraid of how they'll react.
Yep.
It seems to me that they'll be fine, and they'll want to care about you. And I know when this happened to me, someone talking to me about similar issues, my first reaction was, well, let's go do this together. I'll help you. I'll do it with you. I will call, if because it's very, very scary. And to have someone there, if you can do that,
Mm-hmm.
go for it. But get
Yeah.
it done now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't wait. And don't feel like it's just going to pass. If you are needing help, then do it. And that's what I need to express the strength of, is getting help makes you feel so much better. I want to congratulate you for asking for help, because asking for
Yeah.
help in this show, for this format, is the first step of acknowledging that you don't feel like things are right, and that is huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
You've
So,
already done the first step. That
yeah.
was the hard part, is
Mm-hmm.
getting it out there. And now it's just keep going, but don't
Yeah.
wait, because you're gonna go to sleep. It feel bad one day, and you're gonna go to sleep, and you're gonna feel better and think that it's not gone.
Yeah.
It's probably not.
And if you do ever happen to be in the chat room, AJ, if you are here tonight, there are people here who are giving you hugs and sending you great thoughts, and sending you encouragement to get the help that you're looking for. And don't be afraid of it. I know it's scary. I know that you feel like you're broken. You feel like you're flawed. You feel like you don't belong. And honestly, there are so many people, to varying levels of degree. Some people have short amounts of depressive episodes, and some have severe chronic depression. But I know how it feels to be in that blackness, in that crushing blackness for a short period of time. I've only been there for maybe a day or two, 3 days maybe at the most, and it's scary, and it's horrible, because you can't control it. You don't know what to do with it. And I'm lucky enough that I don't suffer from chronic depression, but
Yeah.
I feel that I can at least relate to that, and there are so many people who listen to this show who do it as well. And so if you're feeling that this is something that you need some help with, please just go ahead and get it, and know that there are people out there who feel like you. And I know that there will be letters coming in to say, if AJ wants to talk to me, I am happy to talk to them, and we will pass that along if you guys want to reach out to her, and to talk about, everybody needs a support system. And
Yeah.
so our Moo Crew can do that really well. I wanted to ask you, Sharku, have you ever felt or dealt with depression yourself, or had anyone in your family who has?
My ex had, she wasn't diagnosed depressed, but she had a lot of depression issues, irregular thought patterns, negative thought patterns,
Yep.
where rather than, oh man, I messed up, I'll do better next time, oh man, I messed up, I am the worst person on the face of the planet,
Yep.
type issues. And that was very, very difficult.
Yeah.
One thing that led to us not being together anymore, because it was too much for me to work with.
Yeah.
And especially coupling that with codependency,
Yeah.
where I throw everything out there and whatever you need, and I was not taking care of myself, she was not taking care of herself.
So you're
And
not a
it got
couple
so-
together when that happens. You are islands trying
We are
to,
islands
Yeah.
islands trying to, and it was a, oh man, 2 years of that was enough.
Yeah.
And it was, and nothing against her. If she's out there somewhere listening to this, I'm sure she's not, because she hates World of Warcraft more than anything on the planet. I mean, she was a great girl, wonderful person, beautiful person, and I do miss her. She was a very, very good person, but it was just one of those things where too much damage was done because we didn't get the help that we needed to
Yeah.
get early on. And
Yeah.
this had been something that had lasted our entire 5-year relationship. And after getting married, it didn't fix anything. It made it worse, in fact. And so dealing with that sort of, and I don't think I've dealt with actual depression myself, but I mean, I know there have been times of, late 20-somethings living in my mother's basement as a divorcee with no job that creeps up on you and makes you feel pretty bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially if it's something you feel like you can't shake,
Yeah.
you really, really need to just get help. There are people out there that want to help you.
Yes.
And that's
and
really
they're
what they
trained
do.
to help you.
Exactly. And they know what they're doing, and finding the right person, the right fit, could really turn everything around.
Yeah.
I think it will. I think it's really the only thing that will.
Good. So AJ, we would love an update from you after
Yeah.
you hear the show and have some time. And we both hope that you have the opportunity to get some help, so that you can feel like you are somebody, that you feel who you are, because that is really hard when you don't. And we spend a lot of time in our lives trying to figure out who we are. So, and some people have spent their entire lives trying to figure out who we are. So I applaud you for taking that first step and emailing us. If you guys want to be a part of the show with your feedback or your requests for advice, questions@torrentthinktank.com is how you get in touch with us. And we read a question a week and we work through it. So thank you, Sharku. That was a great discussion about depression.
Yeah.
And thank you, AJ, for writing us, and we hope to hear from you again. So now it's time to
Definitely.
lighten the load a little bit. Now it's time to brighten and show off some fun things we can do.
I'm doing my deep breathing.
deep breathing. It's time for Tell Us One Thing.
We read your submissions because reading your mind would just be creepy.
Guests first, please read the first one.
Sure. First thing, tell us one thing.
Favorite podcast.
There
Yep.
it is. Favorite podcast. WoW and not WoW related. Hugs from Kitab, from Malfurion.
Okay.
Favorite podcast. Oh, do you want to
No,
go?
go ahead. What's your favorite
I'll
WoW
go.
podcast?
I'll go first. Favorite WoW podcast. Shameless plug. Tauren Think Tank. Honestly.
I
And because
know
I'm not-
this because he's told me this. He's not trying
I-
to butter you guys up.
No, I love Tauren Think Tank. I love CTR is probably my favorite news podcast, and I love The Instance and all that stuff too. But favorite WoW podcast, it's so different, and the community is just amazing. If I want WoW news, I can go somewhere else, and that's fine. But this is such a different and unique and wonderful, amazing thing. And so,
Thank you.
Torn Think Tank, not WoW related podcasts, and kind of almost more related to Torn Think Tank than other WoW podcasts, is a show I like. Is called You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes.
Oh, really?
I don't know if anybody's ever heard You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes. He's a comedian. He had a show on TBS for a minute after Conan. And one of my favorite shows, and he talks with other comedians about his 3 topics that he tries to hit is comedy, sex, and God.
Okay.
But a lot of it is, I mean, there have been talks about, I can't remember the comedian's name, but has manic depression,
Oof.
and well, yeah, I mean, there's and most comics are just live tragic lives and get on there and talk about it, and just in a really blunt and honest way, the way that all comics are. There's, at some point to be a good comic, you just have to rip away everything and be like,
Yes.
here I am. So, but yeah, really fun podcast. You guys might enjoy checking it out. You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those are good suggestions. I've never heard of that one, but it sounds like I really enjoy when people kind of put out their emotions in a real way. It's not overwrought. It's just real. And
Yeah.
comedians, I think, have the ability to do that better than almost anyone because they put themselves out there in so many ways that this is the way that you see them from the honest and raw perspective,
Right.
not the covering with comedy perspective.
Yeah, and Navix in the chat room has mentioned Mark Maron, and it's very similar to Maron's W2F, but I like Pete better because actually his personal story is very similar to mine. So it's like we're the same thing. We're not. But I love Pete. I actually met him when I lived in LA. I went to one of his show and hung out with him for a minute. He's really super nice guy. But yep, okay. What about you, Jules?
So
Favorite podcast?
My favorite WoW podcast, I listen to Convert to Raid. As a raider, it's definitely the perspective that I enjoy the most. So yeah, Convert to Raid is my favorite WoW podcast. The favorite non-WoW podcast, the one that I listen to the most, because it puts out the most stuff per week, is the morning stream with Scott Johnson and Brian Ibbett. They do that 4 times a week and then a 5th show on the evenings. So I listen to that in my commute. So that's the one I spend the most time listening to. And I enjoy the heck out of it because it's everything that I want for a drive time show. It's so perfect for everything I do. But in terms of the podcast that makes me think and really digs into me, is the therapy show with Scott Johnson and his sister Wendy Dunford. It is, and they just his sister is she is a therapist, and they talk about issues that are important to people in different things. So they talked about money, they've talked about bullying, they've talked about raising kids, and the latest one they talked about in-laws and the dynamic of having in-laws. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I was listening to this one very intently because I have some challenges in that area. Yeah. So so I would say that one. I really enjoy the therapy show, Scott Johnson and Wendy Dunford.
I'll have to check that one out because I haven't heard that one either. I love Scott Johnson.
He's great. And
also super cool guy.
Oh, he's awesome. Just very, very, he's just a cool dude. And his sister is as funny and as, and she is so freaking smart, and she puts things in a way that makes you understand it better. I just love it. She's so good. And so I just eat up that show. So those are the 2 that I listen to as a non-WoW related that I really dig. And that's the question. Okay, so next question comes from Mark Conan. Do you collect anything in real life? I collect bicentennial quarters, the 1976 ones with the drummer guy.
Do I collect anything? I don't. Here, this is the closest I have to things that I collect. These are my Star Wars minis. This is my Slave One ship.
Oh, look at that.
And I play it. It's a game it's a tabletop game.
That is so
that you
cool.
play, and you fly these things around the board. Let me see if I got some.
You have some nearby?
Yeah, I'm sitting on my table. I was playing earlier this week, but there's an X-wing there.
Oh,
that's
look
Luke
at
Skywalker's
that.
X-wing. But yeah, they're really fun. It's a miniatures game. If you guys, it's X-wing minis. But yeah, I collect those so I can play with them. Like I have way too much of those
That's an expensive
ships. It
hobby,
is.
though, is it?
It's not so bad. It's not nearly as bad as something like Warhammer or
I
War
was going to
Machine.
ask, is it like Warhammer?
No, it's not nearly. I have basically a full Imperial fleet with a bunch. I have like 8 TIE fighters and all sorts of. It's cost me about $200 to $300, all said
bad.
and done. Like picking here and there, like it because the little ships are like $15, and the bigger ones, like the slave one I just showed you, is like 30.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not too bad. And you can make a list, 100-point list for tournament play for less than $100 easy.
Nice.
So it's a lot of fun though. A lot of fun. If you have a local game store, go pick up X-Wing minis, and that's really the only thing I collect other than Hearthstone cards, pixels. I collect old raid gear that I'll never wear again, or transmog because it's ugly. That kind of stuff.
I'm watching the chat room as they talk about this, and so Kranos in the chat room says I collect mugs. Shield Bearer says I collect hangovers. Doc Oz says I collect comic books, and Doc Oz also said I collect cats. I only have 3, so I'm not considered to be a collector of cats yet. But I honestly don't collect a damn. I don't, and I don't know if I'm missing that gene of something where I am such a non-clutter person in terms of like I just don't like a lot of stuff. And so so this week I was kind of thinking about this. I was reading the notes on Wowhead about what's coming in the 6.0 release. So what's coming out before the expansion comes out, and they're talking about void storage. And I was just like, I have never used void storage in my entire life.
Me neither.
And I asked out on Twitter today, like this week, I said, hey, are you like me and you don't use void storage? And people were like, no, I've never touched it, or I've used it for this. But most of the people who said they use it say it's absolutely full, and they're looking forward to the second tab that's coming in Warlords because they're transmoggers and they keep all of that gear and they keep everything. And I'm like, so see, you're the pack rat personality and I am not, and that makes you okay and that makes me okay, but I don't get it. I just don't get it.
When I was a kid, I collect rocks.
Did you collect rocks?
Yeah, and it wasn't like cool, like geographical, like this is some quartz and this is a diamond. It was rocks out of my driveway. I found rocks, and I would bring one in and be like, Mom, it's a new rock for my rock collection. She's like, it's just a rock from the tribe. It's the ripped up concrete when we. I'm like, yeah, but it's a new rock. Look, this one is this shape, and this one is bigger. And they were all in a shoebox in my room.
That's awesome.
They might still be at my mother's house.
No, she's smart. She got rid of them.
No, because my mom, anything with her kids, pretty sure she has that all in her attic somewhere. Oh boy, my mom collects everything from her children. Anyway, there we go.
That's funny. See,
yeah, my brother's in there. He's acknowledging the fact that she does.
Yes, we did.
Sharku's bro is my brother in the chat room.
Oh yay, Sharku's bro! High five. I think the most thing I ever did as a kid is we had those. Remember those scratch and sniff stickers that were, and for my when I was growing up, I'm 40. So I had the scratch and sniff stickers that were, and we put them in the like sticky photo album, with the sheet cover and then the sticky background. We put them in there, and then we could pull it back and you could scratch and sniff them. I had those, and I had some Garbage Pail Kids that I tried to collect when I was a kid. And that was it. My
dad had Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah,
I love those. Yeah,
and I was just like, this is bull. I tried the whole trading card thing and said, this is crap. I don't want to do this, and so I stopped. And that was it. And I've just never collected a thing, and I've just never understood people who are like, I've never played Pokemon. I've never done the thing, the thing where you got to get everything. I'm not an achievement hunter. I'm just happy not.
My brother collected the crap out of Pokemon cards.
Did he really?
Yeah, total. And he sold them for something. I don't remember what it was. And my mom was so mad at him. But yeah, I never really collected anything either. I had the rock collection or whatever, but my brother, and I've got comic books. I do have some comic books, but not really as a collector. Like I bought those to read them.
Yeah.
And but he has my sister had Beanie Babies, and he had Pokemon cards and had one of the whole books full of them.
And then they sat, and he didn't do anything with them. And
yeah, and then he sold them to buy something. I don't remember. He wants to stream catches up, he'll say what it was. But I can't even remember what it was. My mom was so mad at him because she thinks the guy at the comic book store took him or whatever. He had a holographic Charizard. No, Mom, he didn't, but whatever.
Your mom knows what the Pokemon
My
cards
mom
are.
knew it. My mom also, God, this is so off topic. She wanted to make a Pokemon card game for church figures because she thought that Pokemon might be demonic.
Oh no.
So she wanted to make like where Moses would have an ability to part the Red Sea or something. She wanted to make collectible Jesus.
Oh
She
my
really did.
gosh.
She had a
Somebody
great
out
idea.
there has
She
made
had drawings.
collectible religious cards. You've seen this. I know this has happened somewhere.
Yeah,
Somebody's
it's
got to do this.
brilliant. Anyway, had to add that. Okay,
Next question.
Next question is from Menmouth. You have a choice between spending a day with either Angry Orc or Regarius. However, I'm saying that right?
Yes.
It's Regarius. Yeah, Regarius. Angry Orc will always be shouting, and Regarius will be focused on patch notes and won't let you see them or talk about them. But we'll talk about coffee and sushi the entire time. I want to spend the day with Angry Orc just because I think that guy is brilliant. Some of the tweets that he comes out with is just awesome, and I have no problem with the yelling. I yell a little bit myself.
Oh,
So.
I would definitely say Angry Orc as the character on Twitter, and I've spent some time with Angry Orc the man. You know, I met him at BlizzCon,
Mhm.
and he's great. He is hilariously funny, and just a cool dude. I got the chance to hang out with him for a little bit. Actually, on the way home, he was on the same flight as I was going home, and so we chatted in the airport for a while and talked about our time at BlizzCon. But if it was the orc himself, I would put up with him yelling as long as he didn't swing anything at me. You know, there weren't like glass breaking and I wasn't having stuff thrown at my head. I think I would be okay. No offense to Regarius. I think you're great. But the patch note thing, I think would try to maybe drive me up a little bit of a wall.
That's true. Tell me what this means. No.
No, I can't talk to you about anything but coffee and sushi. Nope.
Now.
No.
No.
So. And from Southern Samuel, what would the Tauren think tank fiction novel be about? A fiction novel, Tauren think tank. Oh God, what would it be about? So I guess it would be I think it would be a young. Okay, here it is.
Let's hear it.
So the hosts are in high school, meet each other in high school.
I'm loving it.
And there's a common ground that's put together about the fact that they're the people that everybody talks to. Everybody asks for advice, and they don't know what to do with it. And in that mix, it's just this thing of, you know, perhaps we need to do a club of some sort.
Can we be a detective agency
You wanna
too?
be a detective agency?
Yeah, and through our like, I have this problem where this and then the other, and what should I do? I'm like, it sounds like somebody's planning to rob the jewelry store, and yeah.
So it's
I wanna do
crime fighting advice givers.
Yeah, it's like the Hardy Boys.
The Hardy
Tauren
Boys
think
giving good
tank.
advice.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the end of the show. Is like, and this is the best advice that we can give you. You shouldn't have robbed the jewelry store. It was a bad idea.
And kids, if you understand that if you want to rob something, you perhaps need to go to get some
That'd be
therapy
the best
about
thing
needing
to
to
not
own
do.
things that don't belong to you. And at the end of the novel, these young upstarts are given a job with a special division of the police force that deals with the public because the police force needs a better PR system than what they have.
That's right.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yay!
Yeah. I'm proud of myself for not throwing Jules Bot into that because that's all I was thinking of when I heard that. I was like, you guys already did. You guys already wrote the novel. It was
I
the Jules
know.
Bot saga. It's
And
over.
Jules Bot has
was
had
it.
her day in the sun.
That was the whole story there. But this is I like our idea as well.
Good.
All right, next question. Drunken. From one mage to another, what changes are you most and least looking forward to in WoD? Or Warlords. WoD, whatever. I'll say it. I don't care. I am most looking forward to the fiery deaths and burning hellfire of Altar Time. I hate that spell. I hate it so much.
Why?
I hate everything about it because you'll have perfect procs lining up and you'll hit the Altar Time and it'll be beautiful and everything's going to be wonderful. but then you do your same exact rotation. Your trinket procs aren't lining up exactly the same, and you're like, I need to get this alter time off, so I'm going to hit it now because I want to use it with while lust is going on or this and that and the other. So you go ahead and hit it, and then as soon as you hit it, your trinket props pop up, and then when alter time resets, it gets rid of those trinket props that would have lasted 20, 30 seconds, and instead only lasted 4. And I hate it. I hate it so much. Hate everything about it. It's gone, and I'm super happy.
But it
it's
is
not
a
gone.
necessary part of your rotation right now. So
Yeah,
you have
to use it. You have to, because it's one of those things is when you just need, it is a DPS increase, but it is so much more of a DPS increase when your procs line up the same way.
Zug is making fun of
And
you
if
in the chat room to say that
he
this
can-
has killed you more times than you care to admit to.
It has. He said it pissed Darius off more times. Yeah, it has. It is just one of those things. It's not killed me per se, but no, it has, because I'll alter time in one place, and then all of a sudden poop will drop, and I'll be like, I've got to run out of the alter time, blink back, and I'm right in the poop, and I'm dead. It's like, because I'm out of the poop, and I totally missed it. I'm like, yeah, I am such a great rig. Never mind. Never mind. So yeah, alter time is gone.
What are
it's
you
not
least
gone.
looking forward to in World Wars?
I'm gonna miss my big numbers. I know it's not gonna matter, but I'm gonna miss pulling like over 1 million burst damage. Like I'm gonna miss that because I can be like, I bursted 1 million damage. I'm not gonna be able to say that anymore. I'll still be awesome, but
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I believe that people are going to hang on to this a little bit and say, do you remember the day when I was doing, 450,000 DPS with a 1 million crit, and it just, yeah, I think people are going to be hanging on to that. That's part of the good old days. Do you remember when? I think that's not going to go away anytime soon.
all I'm saying is my demon hunter is like critting 10 million. You know what I mean? All the time on Diablo. I don't understand. Why can't they just make it? We can do it. Stat squish.
We can do it.
But I get it. I get why they're doing it. It makes sense. But I am gonna miss that. What about you, Jules?
Okay, I'm going to just put my ignorance on display here. I have been waiting to see. In terms of spells, I haven't paid attention to anything that has changed for druids at this point because I don't want to know until it's time to know. So I haven't been paying attention to those kinds of things. What I am looking forward to the most in terms of gameplay is going to be garrisons. Absolutely. Hands down, I think that is going to change the single-player gameplay to an nth degree and make it so much more compelling to do things that matter in the game and don't feel like work. So I am totally down with it. I'm totally down to it. What I'm looking forward to the least, I don't know. I guess it would also be just kind of the adjustment of, learning. I always dread this. I always dread learning how to play my class again in the optimum way. I always dread it because I feel so gimped, but you get some time to get to that point so that you figure it out. But that first couple of weeks when you're just kind of readjusting to how the game works for your class, I'm not looking forward to that part, but it goes away fast. I'm also not really that thrilled the fact that I'm not going to be able to use voodoo anymore because it's not being supported in Warlords, and I've already had to switch to Healbot, which is okay, but I miss my voodoo.
Have you tried Click? Have you tried Click and Grid?
I didn't like it.
Didn't like Click and Grid?
I tried it. I didn't like it. It didn't do what Voodoo did for me. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to stick with Healbot. It's not the same. It's not as awesome as I loved it. Yeah. But I am sad to see it go because it had some features in it that I don't have in there. So they're saying it's being picked up now. And you guys, it's Jastra and Zug in the chat room just said it's being picked up. If you are right.
Yeah.
I am about to sing hallelujah, and I'm gonna so somebody show this to me.
Well, and hopefully whoever picks it up reprograms it because it's one of those things. There's a lot of it passed through so many hands that apparently there was a lot of weird coding that just makes it's kind of weird, makes your system can run slow on it and stuff. But
there's memory leaks all over the place with it currently, and so that needs to change too before that. So that would be awesome if that got.
But yeah, I like Voodoo was my favorite. I don't really heal that often, but that was my favorite one too. Yeah. And so hopefully it does get picked up again.
Okay. From Torhammer 6, have you gotten the Headless Horseman mount? And if so, how long did it take for you to get it?
Nope.
I don't have it, and I am bitter, 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 because I have been trying for 8 years.
How's that Ashes Valar coming?
That's all my own fault. That's all my own fault. I will fully take my blame on that one. It's my own
Yeah.
fault for not doing it. But
Yeah.
you can go and get the Headless Horseman mount on
Headless
every alt
Horseman
that
now,
you
yeah.
have and just join a group and do it. And that's what I've done. And every freaking alt that I have is max level,
So-
going in there to get it. And it's like, crap, 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 crap. Every time.
I've never done it. Yeah. I'm not a big mount guy. I think the most rare mount I have is a blue drake that drops off of a dungeon in Kata or something. Or not Kata, Wrath. I don't even know.
I just want this mount for really bad. I just want it. I like it.
Yeah,
I'm not a
it
collector.
is a cool
Obviously, I'm
mount.
not a collector, but I want this mount because it's so cool and I want to play it. And everybody in the chat room who's currently saying they got it the first year that they played, I love you, but you suck.
I just logged in one day and it was in my inbox. I don't even know.
Somebody just gave it to me as a gift. I don't even know how they broke the game.
Yeah.
No,
Sergeant
I love
Jim.
you guys.
Yeah.
I do.
Sergeant Zim asks, what will your Halloween costume be this year?
I am old and I don't dress up.
I know, right? Apparently, according to the chat room, I should be Brian Posehn.
Yeah, seriously. Who is Brian Posehn? I don't know who this is.
He's a comedian. You need to look him up. He's what does he do? He was on the Sarah Silverman show. He looks like me, basically.
Okay. Or you look like
The
him or however you want to
balding
put
red
it.
head with the beard. Yeah. He looks like me. He stole my act. Really
Stole
funny
your
comedian,
act.
though. Really funny comedian. But yeah, I should be Brian Posehn.
That's funny.
I'm cool with that.
You could, it'd be cosplaying and you just be yourself and it'd be awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I work in a 3-person office and usually I'm one of the, if my coworkers are traveling or not in the office that day, I'm the only one there. So it's really not a thing for me to dress up at work. And but last year, it's funny because my stepdaughter had this thing at her school that was called Trunk or Treat. And so you went there and the kids go and they trick or treat out of these parents' cars that they got them all decorated. It's this thing that they do at the school. And so Kane had gotten this really cool, it was this thing that we got at Disney, and it's this large skull that took up about half of my chest because it hung around my neck. And it's digital that the mouth just kind of it just opens and closes on. You turn it on, and the mouth looks like it's just opening and closing on the skull.
Okay.
And the way I was wearing it with a black T-shirt is people thought it was on my shirt. So everybody was walking up, these kids, and the parents are like, "That is the coolest shirt ever!" And I'm like, it's a necklace, but thank you. And so that was the coolest Halloween costume that I have had in probably 15 years. I swear.
Awesome.
Most of the time I will wear my Packers jersey with a cheese head and say, I am a Packers fan. That is what I do for Halloween. But one of these days I'm going to try and cosplay at some kind of con if I can put something together. That would be really fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. And for me, it's almost like it's what I do for work. It's like if you're a barista, you're not going to celebrate National Coffee Day. I dress up and play around for work, so I'll just I'm all about the parties.
You just go and have a good time.
I will go to the Halloween parties.
Nice. From Critical Pie, what hooked you in WoW? Most of us started with friends, but what got you first hooked?
What hooked me in WoW? It was funny story. When I was in college, my PlayStation broke, and my PlayStation 2. I didn't even have a PlayStation 3 at the time, and I didn't have anything to do, and I was getting ready to go to grad school, and part of my deal of going to grad school is my dad was going to buy me a new computer, or help buy me a computer, and I bought a cheap little Dell from Walmart or something. I don't even know. But I was like, hey, I got a new computer. I should buy a video game. I've never really played computer games. And I heard about this World of Warcraft thing, and I really enjoyed Warcraft 3, and let's give it a shot. And I brought it home, and my buddy was like, my roommate, who's my best friend now still, goes, there's no way you are passing college. You got to your senior year. What are you doing? Put that back. Take that back to Walmart right now. What are you doing? Or wherever I got it from. I was like, no. It's just whatever. He's like, there's no way you're passing. Because I almost flunked out the semester before because of Oblivion, right? So I know. So I started playing WoW basically to prove my buddy wrong. And that first semester of my senior year, and this first semester I got the game, was the only time I ever made straight A's in college.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it wasn't because they were hard classes. I mean, I had theater history and I think a math class, and I was just to prove my buddy wrong that I could play, 30 hours a week and still
I've
make
been
straights.
challenged.
Yeah, challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. Achievement unlocked.
And that's how I got into the game. Honestly, it was a dare.
That's hilarious. Well, in my story, I've told this before, but Arcane is the one who got me in. We were playing City of Heroes, and it was losing its luster really fast because once you hit top level at the time we were playing, it wound up becoming just a dead game. You didn't have anything to do, and it took you so long to slog up to top level, and then you had nothing to do with that character.
Right.
And so he was playing in classic WoW, and he said, I think you should really enjoy this. You would really enjoy this. So on my birthday, he bought me classic WoW, and it was 3 months before Burning Crusade was to be released. We rolled on a server that had just opened 2 days prior. It was the Sentinel server. For U.S. Sentinels and Alliance side, and that's where I started. And that's where I played for a good probably 4 or 5 years of my time in WoW before moving to Worm Rest Accord and now to Airy Peak. So it's been, but yeah, and it started by me and Kane playing together, and we played together all the time. And slowly, as I started to learn the game, because honestly, doing this, I was scared off my butt to try to play this game by myself. I was so afraid because I didn't know what to do. I was so like, I don't know where I'm going. And the classic story is I ran up by myself. I ran up to Stormwind City, and I turned around and I ran back because I got scared. I didn't know what to do.
Well, I remember trying to figure out. It wasn't Leet Speak or anything, but it was like WoW Speak, like LFG, all that. I don't know what any of these people are trying to say. WT Beam and want to buy, and I was I don't know. I didn't know. I had no idea what Ubers was.
Yes. It's crazy how it turns out, but that's what hooked me in, and so that was my husband that did that.
Yay.
And the last one.
Is that me?
Yes.
Okay. Muzzy AIE says, okay, not in a meeting this time. What's your preferred monster cereal? Booberry, Count Chocula, or Frankenberry?
Okay, so no joke. We got this sent in, but this week on I Remembered It Better, we did a flavor flashback where all three of us bought a box of one of these three cereals so we try it on the show. So
Yeah.
in my house tonight, I have a box of Count Chocula and a box of Frankenberry, and I tried the box of Frankenberry on the show. And it's been probably about 30 years since I've had any of them.
Yeah.
So I would say probably Count Chocula would be my choice, but the Frankenberry is like classic strawberry, where it was just like, oh my god, strawberry smell. It's really strong, and it pretty much has not changed. But if you want them, they're like available at Target, and I've heard Kroger has them. Yeah.
You might as well just buy marshmallows and douse them in milk, though.
Exactly, but it's not different than Lucky Charms. How about you?
I think I'm a Booberry guy.
Yeah?
I never really loved the chocolatey cereals, but I like the fruity, like Fruit Loops, and I think Booberry would probably be my go-to. I was never even as a kid though, not really a sugary cereal person. We had Raisin Bran. My family was really, my dad especially, all he eats is Raisin Bran to this day. He's such an interesting guy. He really likes to mix it up. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Blueberry.
Okay. All right. Well, that does it for Tell Us One Thing. Thank you guys so much for sending in your submissions, and you can do that on Thursdays through Twitter. At Tauren Think Tank is the Twitter account. I ask for them on Thursdays, or you can email them to the show. questions@taurenThinkTank.com is the way to do it. And now, as we're doing a long show tonight, let's go get some feedback in there, like right now.
Yep.
Let's hear what you guys think. It's time for feedback.
All right, Sharku, can you read this letter for an update?
Absolutely can. Dear Triple T, you said you wanted more info. Well, here you go. You mentioned not eating 2 to 3 hours before I sleep. To eat 2 hours before sleep attempts, or I can't eat 2 hours before sleep attempts. If I do, and do manage to sleep, I wake up famished, so I just don't bother. As I already said, I've been to a few doctors over the years. I don't remember the exact phrasing, but sporadic insomnia comes to mind. In a previous email, I said I was nocturnal. I'll elaborate a bit more. Sunlight/daytime actually makes me tired, while the opposite happens at night. You wanted to know how much it affected my productivity. Well, it's generally been 3+ days awake before it's generally been 3+ days of me being awake before it's overtly noticeable. Other than the two worst cases of not sleeping, 114 hours last month and 9 days long ago, I wouldn't say I've been zombified, as you call it, but I'm definitely tired a lot of the time. You suggested acupuncture. I'd be open to the idea, much like why so serious depression issue. I don't have that option where I am. Marconin mentioned a set schedule helps. My job doesn't do that. There are days I work at 7 a.m., other days I work at 7 p.m. or later. The 114 hours awake was actually when I was scheduled 5 days of 7 a.m. shifts. As far as I know, I only had one hallucination, and it was harmless. I know chat was active during the discussion, but I cannot recall all the details. Thanks again, Lil XT.
So this
And
was
this
in
is from, yeah.
Yeah, this is in relation to last week's think tank question about not being able to sleep. And this was Lil XT who gave us some more feedback. I honestly, my gosh, 100 and what was it?
114.
14 hours awake is just whoa. That just blows me away. But
Wow. Yeah.
it's so I think the if your doctor is not concerned and there aren't any long-term problems here, it sounds like you're doing everything you can. We actually have a feedback letter from someone about this sleep, and I will read that in just a moment. You know what? Actually, I'll read that one now since it ties in really well. Hello, Tauren Think Tank. This is my first email writing in not with a question, but with a comment based on my personal experience to reply to the listener who requires very little sleep and often goes multiple days without. Don't feel bad that you aren't like everyone else. There are many of us who don't fit the mold of the 8 hours a day that gets repeated everywhere by rote memorization, myself included. What kind of sleeping schedule do I hold? Let's take a look. I'm someone who spent most of his life feeling that I'm sleeping my life away and could be doing something else, usually regretting all this wasted time while spending an hour or two tossing and turning and wondering why I was having so much trouble getting to sleep to begin with. After a long struggle, I'd finally get to sleep, get tortured by bizarre nightmares, wake up before the sun got up and be a grumpy puss until I got some food into me. These nightmares got so bad that I somehow shut off my ability to sleep for decades, sleep being a blank gap in my memory stealing a third of my life. On top of that, my brain will just not shut up, and the more that I stay wide awake looking at the dull red numbers of my alarm clock, the harder it gets to shut it down. Sleeping hasn't been a problem for so long, but I'm slowly getting a grip on it, and it wasn't easy. After a long time trying to make sense out of this with the help of an awesome friend who has a lot of experience and insight into these matters, it eventually came to me where the problem was, and it was broken down into two parts. First off, my dreams are strange. We're talking a Dadaist surreal freak show that I can now appreciate better as an adult. But as a young kid, I got terrorized out of my mind. Having understood this, my ability to dream has finally returned, and with it the strangeness that is the dream world. Second, I need very little sleep. Most people will tell me 8 hours a day is a minimum, but I can go by on 4 to 5 hours every day and function at full capacity. In addition to this, I realized I can now skip a night's sleep here or there. I haven't tried doing this multiple days in a row, though I may test it out eventually out of sheer curiosity. Finally, I've learned to understand how a normal night works out for me. Fall asleep very lightly after I eventually slow down my brain that rarely wants to shut up, and I get a weird short dream. Wake up 20 minutes to 30 minutes later, go back to sleep, and wake up only when my alarm pulls me out for work. This is my normal. This works for me. Most people would tell me it's not normal, but I'm hardly normal myself, so I don't mind. It just works for me, and if your sleeping habits aren't harming your health, then you shouldn't mind either that aren't neatly molded by a cookie cutter of conventional wisdom. Live your waking life how it feels right for you, because those people who try to convince you that 8 hours a night is the only way certainly aren't volunteering to sleep those hours for you, are they? Take care and be well from Drakenmensch. I loved this letter.
Good advice. Yeah. Part is that he talks about Dadaism. It's a theater and art style that was back in the 19. I love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah,
So,
good advice too.
He's got an amazing insight into himself, and I think that that's what's so helpful here, is that it's, he's understood who he is, and not that he fits into this mold of everybody else. So,
Right.
and to Lil XT, I think this is a really good example of someone who is similar to you, and maybe shares some of the similar things that you do, and maybe you are nocturnal, and this is something that you just don't sleep during the evenings. The point being is that you're not like everybody else, and you don't need to be. So that's
and that's, I think, the big thing, the big possibility here is that it is just his own normal. At the same time, though, I do want to say, I mean, it seems like he is doing everything he can anyway. But if you are unhappy with this, it sounds like you're tired all the time and you don't like that.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you to do other than maybe try to find a doctor that is going to be able to diagnose you with something and find something that would be able to treat you. And it might be sleep things could honestly be your psyche affects your sleep as well.
Yeah.
It might be a psychological something that seeing a therapist or a psychiatrist might be something that you can do as well. But it looks like you're doing everything you can, and
Yeah.
as long as if you feel like it's something that you want to be fixed, they keep trying to find someone that will handle it. But at the same time, remember, like our other letter says, it could just be your own normal.
Yeah.
You seem to be perfectly healthy, and if you're okay with the way that it's going, then be okay with it.
Yeah. And another thing, one last thing I would put out there for this particular case is that sometimes you don't actually pay attention to what's going on with you, what's going on exactly with you, until you take the time to actually force yourself to do it. And what I mean is, like, I knew that, like, for my personal example, it was having these weird heart palpitations, and I had to keep a diary this week while I was wearing a heart monitor to tell me tell the doctor what I was doing and what I was experiencing at the certain time. What did I eat? What did I do? Where was I? All of those things. And every time I ate, I had these episodes. And I kind of knew this, but I wasn't quite sure. And what Drakenmensch did in this email is said, I noticed that I have these really weird dreams. I sleep for this amount of time. I wake up. I do this. I sleep for this amount of time. And so if you can maybe just force yourself to look at the details of what you do and what you're feeling and focus on that, it might help you have some different perspective on it. Just to actually pay attention to the signs and not just say, oh, yeah. It's actually like giving it acknowledgement. So that's the one thing I would pass along from what I've learned this week. So
Yeah.
So thank you guys for your feedback. We have a couple more here. We'll go back up to the top of the section from Bobby in this one, if you want to read this one.
Oh, sure. Bobby Roofner. I'm listening to Tauren Think Tank on YouTube, and you mentioned Culver's while I am eating Culver's. Hashtag creepy. Hashtag awesome.
I laughed at this. I thought that was great. And from Twitter, from James Ski 86, he sent me a series of tweets. And so I made this into an actual paragraph on this one.
Oh my, that's a lot
this is
of
a
tweets.
series of tweets that I actually put into a paragraph. Listening to the new Tauren Think Tank, and Jules hit it on the head with gaming addiction. I'll tell you why. I started playing Warcraft when I hurt my back. I was stuck in bed for 4 months, 1 month resurgent, 3 after. During this time, Warcraft was my escape from boredom. During this time, I also started to slip into depression, something that I had not had an issue with since high school. In life, I was practically crippled. In Warcraft, I was a strong Tauren druid. Once I was released and able to go back to work, and I played less, but the depression had a strong hold on me. 1 month back into the office, they had layoffs. I was spared, but a woman I worked with closely had been let go. She had just come back from maternity leave. We had spoken often before I left, as my son was only a year. She called me in tears when her computer account was disabled. I walked off the job and never went back. I went home and I logged in. After a few months, all I did was play Warcraft. I neglected myself, my family, and my responsibilities. I felt like in life I could do nothing, but in Warcraft I was able to save people. I was healing people's injuries. It took a lot to get out of that world. I almost lost my family to it. Luckily, my wife is far stronger than I was then. I stopped playing for a while. I got a job and I focused on my family. But when I was ready and with my wife's permission, I came back. I have not slipped down that road since, but I've always keep in mind that it could start again. Life is tough, but the experiences make us stronger and wiser. This was in response to our discussion about gaming addiction and World of Warcraft addiction.
Yeah.
So
Good
thank
points.
you, James Ski 86, for this story. I sent him a tweet back and I told him that it takes a lot of strength to come back from something like that. So good for you.
Sure does.
I also want to give you guys a special thank you for all the feedback that you sent me about